Hi, today I will. Today is my pleasure to have a second ScentTech Talk a series, and in this series we'll have two parts. In the first part, I'll have conversation with scientists from Porto University, Idelfonso Nogueira, and in the second part, I will briefly tell you about Scent Camera project, a project which is supported by Norway via Norway grants and Latvia through Latvian Investment and Development Agency. But about this, I will tell you a little bit more after some time. So, Idelfonso, can you just briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, Sandris. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I will very briefly introduce myself. I have a background in chemical engineering, a Ph.D. in chemical and biological engineering. And my research, I have the focus on providing AI solutions, artificial intelligence solutions, to address several problems that we find in the chemical engineering, but not only that, in the product design, product development. And I have a special interest in the perfume engineering because it's a very, very interesting field to work. And this synergy between engineering, between society, and between the history of the perfumes, between the psychological effects that the perfumes has in the society, it's very interesting. And it's one of the research lines that I have been carrying and have been very interested in develop. And perhaps it's what we are going to talk about today.
Yes. Now, Idelfonso, what do you think are the most significant scientific discoveries regarding scents or perfumes?
Okay, first of all, the most significant is, and the one that I always ask me about, how did it happen, is the perfumes by itself. Like how society starts to use these chemical compounds as a perfume. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to think about that, like way back in the past, how we start to think that that smell is pleasant or that other one is not, and we start to domesticate the smell in a way that we can use for all daily lives. So I think that's the start point. After that, we can see that for a long time, society was extracting the scents from the natural source and doing what we have been doing for several years. And recently, there is an increase in focus on merging the knowledge that we have from the perspective of engineering with the development of perfumes. And then we start to merge into the idea of how the physics plays behind the perfume, how the chemistry plays behind the perfume, how the psychology plays behind the perfume. And then we start to dive deep on the process, how to build a scent, how to build a fragrance, and how it will propagate through space and time. So I think that this is the one second big step in this field, when we start to look at the perfume development, not only as a simple extraction and manufacturing process, but it is also there is a science behind it. So when we start to dig deep in the science behind the perfume production development, there is a huge step forward in this industry. And nowadays, most recently, we start to see that artificial intelligence can play a very fundamental role in this process, because the perfume development, it takes a long time because there is a series of trial and error, experimentation. The flavorists, they go through a series of steps to develop a fragrance, a sentence. And then we start to think that the science in general starts to think that perhaps here AI can play an important role during the development, speeding up the development. Not only that, predicting new compounds, predict new fragrance, new chemical compounds that will provide a specific fragrance, and so on. So this is the revolution that we are living nowadays in the field of perfume industry, not only there, but generally in the industry. But specifically about the perfume industry, we can see that nowadays there is an increased interest in applying AI to develop perfumes in the several levels of development. And I would point that out as the step number 3 in this process, one of the biggest steps that we can see look back in the history of the perfume.
And what is the role of perfumes, right, in human perception?
That is like a very interesting, the fundamental role that we don't pay much attention as for example, the sight or when we are listening to some music, but it's as important as those perceptions that we have, because it's interesting because the scent is very connected with our memories or emotions or sensations in the past. So it has a psychological link between, for example, our childhood. If we lived in the countryside, we can easily think about the smell of the ground while it's raining. That's a very peculiar, very specific scent that you will carry through your life, that memory, every time when you feel the smell of wet ground by the rain. Then you can start to see that the scent perception plays also a very important role in your daily life. Like the smell of my grandmother's house, it's very peculiar smell. You can remember that. You can remember your grandparents because of it, when you feel a similar smell. But not only that, it plays also a very important social role. Like you can differentiate environments. You can differentiate like even the seasons of the year. You can differentiate the location, geographic location through the smell, the scent. So it's a very important perception that we have, sometimes neglected. But I believe personally that we should bring more value and study more and dive more over this perception to develop it in a way that we can offer to the society tools leveraging this perception that we have.
And what scientists would like to discover regarding scents? What are they don't know, but they are eager to discover or unlock some secret.
The chemistry behind that, I would say that's quite simple. It's quite simple generally. The chemistry behind this now, because there is thermodynamics playing its role behind that. There is the physics playing its roles behind that. And from that perspective, it's not so difficult to understand. Of course, there are many things that we should dive deeper and understand better, but that's a field very well explored in the field of chemistry, thermodynamics, and physics. But here we are talking about a psychochemical effect. So there is the physical effect, the chemical effect, but there is a psychological effect playing, there is a biological effect playing a role as well. Because until the vapor, the fragrance reach our nose, this is the whole of physics, chemistry. But when you start to interact with your neuroreceptors, then there is a lot of things that we don't know yet, how it works, how it goes. And then we start to think how this happens, how this process goes on, when there is the neuroreceptor is activated, how it transmits the signal to the brain, how the brain will decode the signal into the memories, into the images, into the feelings, the perceptions, and so on. So this starts to be a very a field that we need to go deeper and understand better. And this synergy, mostly the synergy between the biological side of the process, the neurophysiological side of the process, the psychological side of the process, this synergy with the chemistry, the physics behind it, I think that it's the key to go further and beyond where we are nowadays.
Yes, and you said right that it's the chemists unlock the secret of the scent from chemical or physical perspective, right? Can you just shortly give what it is? It's the molecules or how it works?
Yeah, we have the molecules and we have a chemical components basically, and
Volatile
those chemical
components.
volatile components, volatile components, exactly that word that I was looking for. And it has a vapor pressure, so in the environment it will start to be heavy. It will have like a liquid phase, but it's in equilibrium with the environment, so it will have a gas phase also there in equilibrium with the liquid phase. So, and there is a transference, a mass transference between the liquid phase and the gas phase. So in this rolling, the liquid phase is being released to the environment around us. So basically is that it happens with the water as well, or the alcohol. The alcohol is very easily to note that if you have some alcohol in the environment, bottle open it, you will see that after a while the alcohol is gone because it went to the environment, because there is equilibrium with the environment. There is the pressure that goes, makes the stream go, the equilibrium go toward the gas phase. So basically, the idea behind the chemistry and the physics behind the system is that.
And you said that the third wave, right? The third wave is coming through artificial intelligence. Can you just explain what is like? What's the biggest question? What scientists would like to understand?
Yeah, and that is like, as I was telling you before, there is like the physical part, the chemical part of the process. We have a good understanding about that. We are in good grounds. But when you start to think about the interaction of these with the nose, with the neuroreceptors, with the brain, then it starts to be a little bit uncharted grounds that we need to explore. I see from my perspective that these grounds, the connection between those levels can be done through AI. It's one possible possibility. Because AI, the artificial intelligence models, they see the data and they will try to find correlations between the data, which we normally can't establish by ourselves. So they will try to build this. So if you have data about those two sides, we can build a bridge through AI. But not only that, because to know how a given chemical compound will smell like, we need to have a series of tests, because if it's a not known chemical compound, we don't know yet how it smells, how it will smell. So we need to do a screening. We need to present that component to someone to smell and to describe it. This is what the flavors, the perfumes that they do. So, but here AI, we have been exploring AI, and we start to understand that the AI models, they can establish relationships between chemical structure and some property of that chemical structure. So we have a chemical component, we have a given structure, and we can start to understand how that overall structure will have that minor effect, a given effect. So, and then we can start to build a link at molecular level between molecules and how do you affect the environment that they're inserted. This is a general idea, but this idea can be adapted to the context of perfumes, for example. And then we can start to talk that we have a chemical component, and we want to understand how these chemical components will affect the scent, the smell. And the AI can understand if we have a database with several chemical components and we know how they will smell like, the AI can establish some relationship between what is known and what is not known yet, what is unknown. So, and then here the AI can play a very important role and a disruptive role, I think, because we can't, it's not possible for the human being to screen out every single possible molecule in the world to understand how they will smell, how they will affect this perception. But AI can, the computer can do it. The computer is a machine with, if you have a computer with a high computer power, we can do it. We can screen several thousand of possibilities. And I think that here the AI will play a very important role because we will break through this limitation, the human limitation that conditions should do this screen, like all limits. We are going beyond now. We are making use of a machine, of a computer to explore thousands of hundreds of possibilities. And then for sure we will find a lot of new smells, new scents using those kind of tools.
But right, as I understand, then this means that this merges between artificial intelligence and scent and scent perception on human level, right? It could discover some kind of completely new realm, right? Some kind of, let's say, if our visual perception is about describing the world, right, which we are quite successfully, or let's say recording sounds means that we are getting to some cultures, right? But what kind of things could we as humanity could learn from those research? It's more about emotion and sensation, so we will be more tailored. The sense will be more tailored to us and how we feel, and we will feel better, or we will feel calmer, or what is the promise, right? Or what could be the promise for society, right?
Let's think like let's go to, for example, the movies, the theater. Also, that the humanity starts to master the art of doing movies. We can see nowadays, we go to the movie theater, we can have a trip over our feelings, and we can cry, we can smile, we can feel glad, we can feel sad, we can feel cheerful in a movie theater. So there is a mix of emotions, a mix of experiences. Once that we master the art of movies, of doing a movie, of the theater, we are here. I think that we are here in this track. We start to understand also this perception, and I believe that once that we start to master this perception, we can do very complex art with this. So we start to get in the field of more of the art than the science, but art and science, they are together, walk together in this world. And I think that we, in the future, we can get in this point that we can add this perception in the scenario that we can have at the same time we are playing a movie, but at the same time we are using for example, the perception of the smell,
yes,
to increase the experience, to dive into that experience. It's just example, but it can have also several other applications if you understand well this process. That is the medical application, the therapies, several therapies that we can unlock through this. So I just give the example of the theater, but just to illustrate how what is the potential behind exploring
yes.
this field.
So one thing that I understand, it's like all this emotional or affective layer, right, which you can add to some visual materials. And second layer, which you said, right, second promise could be that we could use it as more as therapy, right, enhance aromatherapy to the next level, so that maybe there will be some treatment done through our nose, right? So we maybe after some years, 20, we will understand that maybe we don't need to eat something or swallow. Maybe we just some pills, maybe especially regarding our mental health, will be replaced by something which by created sense. This could be the promise of
Yeah, it can be one promise as well. Yeah, we can trigger like mental health treatments through the feeling of safety. Several, like we can do this, the mental health treatment in general, using sense in the future. If we understand well how it works, how it interacts with our brains, we can do that.
And what is the role of sense in your perception of your perception of the world, yourself, and your body? Have you,
Sorry, Sandris, what was the question?
what is the role of sense in your perception of the world, yourself, and body? Right?
Yeah, for me, the scent is. I will give example. There is a tree that I like a lot because during the day, at the right time of the day, it starts to release a very peculiar smell, a very pleasant smell. So I have this tree in my garden. It has a flower, a white flower, and it releases this smell. And at that very time of the day, I feel very calm because it starts to that triggers me, this pleasant feeling, this calmness, this safety feeling, because that tree is released the smell at 6 o'clock. So this is example to tell you that the the perception of the smell, the scent perception for me, it's a way that I interact with the world, and the world interacts with me. It's like a both way interaction. So I can interact with the world because that feeling, that tree is triggering me. It's interaction. It's a way that I am establishing relationship with the environment surrounding me. And also I can interact with the world through this perception. So just a small overview, like how I feel, particularly me, about this perception.
Yes, and why would humanity need a medium for sense? Similarly, we have a photo camera or audio recorder or video camera for audiovisual things. Why we need a medium for sense?
That is, I think that this is a very good reason of our conversation because we have been talking about the potentialities that we might have explore in this field, and that is a little bit of the answer for this question because we have we developed very well the sound perception, like how to explore the sound perception. We developed very well how to explore the vision, and but not yet the perception of the smell. So it's like we like some tools that can make use of this way that we interact with the world, and the world needs that. Like we have been talking, like the therapies that we can develop if we have some medium that we can manipulate the smell. If we have some tool like a camera that we can take that can take a photography. If you have a tool like that, like a video camera that can shoot a move and so on. I think that's important, and it's a good step towards what we have been talking here, towards the potential of the future that we can do with this.
Yes. Do you have idea, right? Because you said, right, that the photography, right, photo camera and etc. is this audio visual like perception is some, let's say, 1 century, right, more advanced or far away from what's happening. Why it's so? Why we are lagging 1 century ago regarding research, technologies, understanding of sense of scent, comparing our eyes or our ears?
I believe, Sandris, that those two fields, they were very well explored, and they started to be very explored 1 century ago. And if you look back, there was propaganda machinery, like producing propaganda, producing in the radios, and starts to exploring also the TVs to leverage this interaction with the public to like potentiate one business or one idea. It was a tool that starts to be very well explored, and there was a lot of economic interest in developing this on one hand. On the other hand, I believe that the photography, the radio, the music, it's easier to manipulate. Like the sound, it's easier for the human being to manipulate with not so complex technology. Like I can do a sound with only with my hands, and I can play a music, even if it's a basic music, but I can play a music with that. So it's closer to us, like the sound and the vision than the smelling, even though that the smell is there present as well. But it's easier to us to manipulate. And I think that the other reason was that this facility that we have, this easiness that we have, promoted also that we start to explore this field. On the other hand, I think that now science goes so fast. The steps are fast, fast and fast. And I believe that we don't need 1 century to reach a level of complexity in this field as it was needed for the music, for the visual arts, and so on. I think that with the level of knowledge that we have, the level that science reached nowadays, I believe that faster we can get there. Maybe half a century, or maybe not even that, maybe 10 years, 20 years. If there is interest and investment in that field, we can get there.
What would be use case for scent medium, right? Where we could use it? Where a humanity would need? Yeah. What would be use cases, right, for scent medium, right? So let's imagine we can we understand how to record scent, right? Mm-hmm. And we understand how to reproduce, let's say, and or we understand how to what the effect is, right, on our brain and our body and our emotional and our mood and our emotions and mood. But okay, we unlocked it, we undiscovered it. But where we could use, right? What could be use cases?
Yeah, there are several. I can think like several possibilities. I can think the medical applications, as we have been talking about, the therapies. We have been talking already about aromatherapy. So if you have a medium for leverage those the scents, we can develop better this field. We can provide the useful tools to this field work. So, and then the medical applications, I believe there are several, as we have been talking. But not only that, it can be used only for memory. Like as if we take a photography, we go on a trip and we have our cell phones, we take a picture and we want to look at that picture sometime in the future and remember how was that trip, how was that moment. So it can be used for that also. It's a simple application, but it's very important for us as human beings. But we have that also, but we can have also social applications. We can start to establish co-relationships between human behavior and the smell, and try to build a pleasant environment for the society, pleasant public environment, using also not only the architecture, not only the other visual arts, but also the smell. So there are several possibilities. There are several tools that we can develop if we have a very well field, like a good ground to start to build that, a good base to start to build that.
And let's imagine, right, after some years there is a scent camera, or there is a device that could record scents and release them back. Well, what would you record? What would be your first scent what you would record, and why?
The smell of the sea. I would like to have with me. Yeah, I love the smell of the sea, and the first thing that I would record to take with me in the trips and so on, because it's something that I like. I lived in a country that it was very close to the sea, so my childhood was nearby the sea, and that smells is very pleasant. That scent is very pleasant for me. So the first thing that I would record would be that.
And is it special sea? Is it special place or any?
Uh, any place, but it would be if because if I could when I go, if I would have this equipment, well, first trip that we would have to that place in Brazil, I would go there and record
Okay.
that special house place
And,
for me.
okay, and if it's not a secret, what kind of place it is? What kind of sea it is?
Yeah, it's Iceland in Brazil. It's a place where I was spending my holidays during my childhood in Salvador, Bahia. It's a city, very pleasant city in Brazil. So that would be a place that would like to record the sense of that place. I have here, Sandris, just a couple of slides, if
Yes,
it would be
yeah,
possible to share,
yes.
that I could describe like I can't share now
You
the screen, uh, but let me try now.
I think you can now. You need to.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, just to have a overview about what we have been talking now. I did this that we can talk here like to provide a general idea about
Yes.
the physics, the science behind the perception of scent. So the perception of a perfume is divided in four steps. The first, the evaporation of the perfume, as you have been taught, we'll have the liquid phase and start to evaporate it. And then when we have the evaporation, there will be the diffusion. So it will expand and fulfill the surround. So then there will be the diffusion there until the olfactory system is reached. So this is when the magic starts to happen, when these components they reach the olfactory system. Then it will activate the neurotransmissions and so on. The first step, the first two steps are the domain of chemical engineering, the domain of the physics, and so on. And the last two steps belong to the psychophysics. Okay, so here we study the neurotransmissions. Here we will start to build the relationship between psychology and neurology, and so on. So overall, like just to have give you an overview, those are the four main steps that we have in this process. Evaporation, then we have already the vapor, the gas phase, then there will be the diffusion in the air, and then it will reach our olfactory system, and then the body starts to play its role, and then it will trigger the perception of the smell. So just to talk a little bit more about this, as we can see here, if we have a flower, we have a rose, for example, then the rose has in its surface the chemical components there that will start to release in there through this process, the evaporation and the diffusion. And then if you go closer to the rose, we will smell, and with our nose, with our lungs, we will promote the convection of the air, and it will reach our nose, the olfactory system, and then it will trigger the neurons and so on until we have that perception. So just to show like your question that you did in the beginning, just to have here a condensed view of our discussion about this process.
Mhm. Yes. So thank you very much, Idelfonso. So
Thank you.
now we will start second part, and I will tell some shortly. I will try to be this time shortly about the story behind Scent Camera.
Thank you, Sandris.
So let's try. Okay, so finally, I hope so that so it works. So first of all, Scent Camera. What it is, Scent Camera, it is handheld device to record, store, and release scents, and it's supported. This project is supported by Norway grants, which I will tell you later on. So basically, project started in 2020 when me and two Latvian universities, Riga Technical University and Latvian University, and and by support of Latvian Investment and Development Agency, we got some grant to just to build some early stage proof of concept for device that could go with help of this device. We could capture scent molecules, store them, and release them. And we have built this proof of concept prototype, and now we would like to move to the next stage. And we get some grants from Latvian Investment and Development Agency. And this time it was grant supported by Norway through Norway grants, and we got around 114,000 of public money. And this money is aimed to that we could at this time we need to develop production prototype of scent recorder, and we hope that this prototype will be developed by year 2024. The main target audience could be the people who has visual disabilities. So because for them it's much harder to record memories via visual stimulus. And this could be the new alternative how they could record memories, not rather like taking pictures, but capturing scent molecules of the event. What is behind? There is some kind of founders or team. So it's me and some other who have participated like previously in the first stage of development. Basically, it's Martis Sayers and Charles Bushmans, and we have some advisors like Jurgis Šilps and from Latvian University and K. Marcus Miller from Furtwagen University, Germany. And we have some other partners. One of the partner is University of Porto, particularly a laboratory of separation and reaction engineering from Faculty of Engineering of University of Porto, and they will be responsible for building and helping us to develop this environment where we could store as a scent or a scent camera or scent capsule. Then we have a partner from University of Latvia, Laboratory for Perceptual and Cognitive Systems, and they will help us to build a testing methodology, because it's very important to understand how this technology is perceived by people and by people noses, and how accuracy with this technology what kind of accuracy we could reach results. And by accuracy is how much of people feel that percentage of how much of the people and like valuation, how much they think that the scent what they capture is similar to what the scent they release. This is very important for us. The measurement, and this methodology will be developed by this laboratory. Then we have a partner who help us with intellectual property rights. It's a Latvian company for our patent law office. We have design partner, it's Design Elevator, led by Charles Bushmans, and we have two production partners who help us to understand how to make more reproducible technology to assemble components which would be more easier to later on to produce. So what is our the biggest idea or the mission? So that we believe and what we would like to do, that scent as any other stimulus deserve its own medium, and sooner or later this medium will have it, and we would like to enhance development of this media, like it was photo camera for sight or audio recorder for sound, then we believe that scent camera could be for smell. And as we talked in previously in this first part of this episode of ScentTech Talk episode with Idelfonso, is that the photo camera and audio recorder has more than 1 century experience, right? Or they are more, at least 1 century far away from 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 smell and smell recording technologies. But we believe that Scent Camera could solve problem of for 68% of people. As we made research, and based on the research, we figured out that 68% of respondents have experienced the situations that they would like to record some particular scent for their own memories or for sharing either with the friends or families. So 68% of people have experienced this feeling that they would like to record, but they don't have a technology, right? And so we would like to help help to solve this problem. What kind of opportunities, right? We know regarding the scent. So we know that recently, and particularly this year, this century, more and more research are done how scents impact humanity or some aspects of humanity. So I will make a small summary. There is idea that scents are essential part of the world cultural heritage, the same like pictures or audio recorders or some kind of audio visual cultural heritage. The same could be attributed as not so as scent. Second idea is that memories recalled by odors are significantly odors and scents are significantly more emotional and evocative than those recalled by visual and auditory stimulus. And we know that scents can affect mood, physiology, and behavior, as well as sports and athletic performance and subject vitality. And we know it by researches as well as we know by observing that there is a huge tradition of aromatherapy. There is a huge tradition use scents in sports and etc. And as well, we know that by analyzing scents, it's possible to diagnose illnesses in medicine. So there's more and more, let's say, issues that say that we can the scent of our breath, if we can unlock that, suggest us that we can identify whether we have a cancer or not on early stages, and as well as of course we can identify by scent air pollution or environmental pollution, as well as there are abilities that we can use scent detection to detect explosives and other dangerous substances, which maybe our human nose is not possible, but there is opportunities that there are some scents which a lot of those things could be solved. So the problem is, while recording, storing, and releasing stored scents could provide many new opportunities for humanity, there are no devices available in the market to collect, store, and spray personal scents in a simple and convenient way. So, and this solution for that, it could be that you would like to build a scent camera as a handheld device to record scents as easily as to take pictures or to record sounds and videos. Use cases could be several ones. It could be used for medium for recording, sharing, and discovering various scents all over the world. Similarly, it was like picture. It could be used for visual disabled people to collect their memories. It could be used by museums to store scent as cultural heritage. Anxious people could use scent and a camera as a medium for managing their emotional well-being as part of their mental health, because there's a lot of research that suggests that scent could help to manage how we feel and in our emotions at the moment, and as well as to improve sport performances. Doctors could use scent camera to collect some human scents, for example, breath, to send them to laboratories, and scientists could use scent camera as technology for analyzing scent perception. And there could be more other use cases in let's say providing some data or some opportunities for perfume amateurs or somebody who is not maybe professional but who would like to understand more how to build perfumes and collect some perfume samples in environment. Or a scent camera could be used in training for dentists, pharmacists, cookies, and etc. Right. So so just to train some particular persons to identify real scents from real environment in order to train them to act based on that information. So what could be scent camera primary use cases? What I believe it could be personal memories, for personal memories, for cultural heritage, and for group sharing, right? This could be, as I see, the primary use cases of scent camera. So what could be our value proposition? So that scent camera could be the first handheld scent recorder, which is available in the market. There are some experiments before us, like there are some students who developed scent recorders for their master's thesis in universities. But we would like to be the first available device to create available device in the market. And this device, handheld device, could be empowered by various services and NFT ecosystem. For example, this means what could be value proposition? So that you go into, for example, to Amazon forest, find some incredible scent, so that you can record it, bring it back to Europe, share it to the friends or to family, and then you understand that you have small, maybe that this is very important smell for you, that you want to store it forever. Then you could send us the small sample, so we could analyze and we could detect what is that, and then it could be reproduced by your demand. This means that there will be like any scent which is important for you. It could be stored. And reused later, whatever and whenever you would like. And this could be, as well as next move could be that we could build like NFT ecosystem. So this means that, for example, if you would go not to the Amazon forest and you find incredible scent, you could send to us and you could give permission us to upload it in public library, in public database. Then anybody and you own like authorship of that because you were the one who captured, and then maybe somebody else in Asia would like to understand how this particular in that particular time this particular maybe scent or let's say of some specific flower in specific environment experience as well, but maybe in completely other geographies and far away. Then this person, let's say from Japan, he could push button to buy, and we could mix them, particularly that scent which was captured by you, and then we could send them the person to the Japan as a cartridge or capsule filled with that scent. And this scent, yes, and you get some ownerships or some fee for that you can that you can capture. You can sell and buy this rights of holding this to other person. Next one. The next one is who could be the most important, like what is market. So we see at least several things. As I told you, like 68% of in our survey, 68% of respondents said that they would like to record for their own memories, and 50% would like to buy their own or to have their own scent recorder. So totally, we see that this could be market opportunity of half billion. If the market will be quite mature in 10 years. So what is positioning on regarding of scent camera? So we see that scent camera will be positioned as innovative technology for consumers to record and share scent sensations. So let's say that you have photo camera and audio recorder and smartphone. These technologies, which is for capturing audiovisual stimulus, like audiovisual media, and we would like to build the same thing, but only scent camera for scent stimulus. So we are not scent diffusers. or these are the things which are pre-established so that you can go and you can diffuse some scent or mixture scent with some already pre-given scent. This is a completely different use case, and these use cases are more similar to smartphones, smart TV, and computer and tablets. But this is not a use case of scent camera. Scent camera is the use case, or is just to go and capture real scents, real scent molecules, store them, and release later. Yes. So what is very important is that we are we few things that we support EU priorities two kinds. First of all, we believe that the person with visual disabilities and other visual disabilities have the same rights to record their own memories as people with visual abilities, and as well as I'm completely aware and I believe that there are persons who are more inclined to scent and to scent perception, and for them we need to build the same technologies and the same opportunities for those who are more, let's say, visually and audio demanding, and this is a part of equality as well. And second is that what is very important is that we believe that yes, that scent could be part of cultural heritage, and in this scent camera we could just map scent as part of European cultural heritage. Yes, and what's scent camera? So why we are doing this? We would like to enhance human scent experience by creating mediums for almost a billion of people. So if you would like to get more, so you can contact me whether in Facebook or write me email or write me like in WhatsApp, or you can find us in internet like scentcamera.com, like website, or Scent Camera page in Facebook or in LinkedIn, or you can find Scent Camera group in Telegram. So thank you very much, and see you in next series.